Perfect, let us carry the same cinematic style forward and expand scene 3 and scene 4 to complete the arc. Expanded scene 3, the confrontation. By dusk, the town square was alive with silence. Doors were barred, windows shattered, yet unseen eyes peered from cracks in the wood. The stranger stood in the open, coat swaying in the wind, his hand hovering near the holster at his side. Across us from him, the tall man from the inn emerged, flanked by two others. His stride was confident, but his voice carried the weight of unfinished vengeance. You should have stayed gone, he growled. The stranger said nothing. His silence was more dangerous than threats. A storm cloud rolled overhead, thunder rumbling like a drumbeat of war. The standoff stretched unbearably. A tumbleweed rolled across the square, the only thing daring to move. Then, like lightning, the first gun was drawn. The crack of gunfire split the night. Sparks flew as bullets ricocheted against stone. The townsfolk ducked behind barrels, praying the violence would end quickly. But it didn't. The confrontation wasn't just between two men, it was a reckoning years in the making. Expanded scene 4, the aftermath. When the smoke cleared, the square was littered with silence once more. One of the tall manes Alice lay motionless, the other fled into the shadows, and the man himself knelt in the dust, clutching his wound. His hatred hadn't saved him, his power crumbled in an instant. The stranger stood tall, breathing hard but unbroken. He holstered his weapon and looked around at the faces emerging cautiously from the darkened doorways. Children, merchants, the weary townsfolk, they all looked at him differently now. Not with fear alone, but with something heavier, understanding. He tipped his hat, mounted his horse, and without a word, began to ride out of town. Behind him, whispers spread. Some said he was a savior. Others swore he was just another ghost passing through. As the hoofbeats faded, the town seemed to exhale for the first time in years. The storm had passed, but the memory of that night would linger like a scar etched into stone. Would you like to weave in dialogue and near thoughts for the characters, to make it more like a screenplay, or keep it in this novel-style cinematic narration? Got it. Since I don't have details about the video, I'll draft a 4-scene story outline first, and then I'll expand scene 1 and scene 2 for you in detail. You can let them know if the direction matches what you had in mind. Story outline, 4 scenes. 1. The arrival a mysterious stranger arrives in town, carrying a past shrouded in silence. 2. The tension old enemies recognize the stranger, and danger begins to stir. 3. The confrontation the town square becomes the battleground for truth and betrayal. 4. The aftermath leaves a changed forever as the dust settles on what was lost and what was gained. Expanded scene 1, the arrival. The town was unusually quiet that morning, the air heavy with the promise of rain. The clattering of hooves echoed down the cobblestone street as a lone rider entered. His coat was worn, edges frayed by long journeys, and his face half hidden beneath the brim of a weighted hat. Children peered from behind doorways, and merchants paused mid-transaction to watch. No one recognized him, or at least, that is what they pretended. The stranger dismounted slowly, his boots sinking into the damp earth. He tied his horse to a crooked post outside the inn, his gaze scanning the square as to every shadow whispered a warning. He didn't smile. He didn't nod. He simply walked inside, leaving the unsettled townsfolk to exchange hushed whispers. Something about his prisoners felt less like chance and more like fate. Arriving right on schedule. Expanded scene 2, the tension. The inn's interior was dim, smelling faintly of smoke and tall. Conversations halted as the stranger pushed through the door. He chose a corner table, where he could see both the entrance and the stairwell, a man used to keeping watch. Not long after, a tall figure in a dark vest entered. His eyes widened ever so slightly at the sight of the newcomer, then narrowed. Recognition burned like a fuse being lit. He muttered something to the barkeep, who stiffened, glancing nervously at the stranger. Around the room, tension spread like wildfire. A card game was abandoned mid-hand. The old piano player let his notes trail into silence. It was as if the air, each leaf grew thicker, waiting for one of them to make the first move. The stranger lifted his glass slowly, never breaking eye contact with the man across the room. For the first time, the town understood. This wasn't just a visitor. This was the beginning of something dangerous. Дефис. Do you want to expand scenes 3 and 4 in the same cinematic style, or would you like to adjust the story to match the video's actual theme? If you can share what it is about. I wasn't able to light the video at that link, so I can't see it as content to write a scene-based story based on it. If you can tell a summary of what happens in the video, key characters, setting, tone, major events, I'd be happy to write a 4-scene story inspired by it.